What's up, guys? All right, so today I'm going to walk you through just a little hobby that I was doing. I figured I'd make a video because I couldn't find much on YouTube, and this is a very frustrating project if you don't know what you're doing and looking for. So I'm going to walk you through a case swap on a Dell XPS 8900. Now, I'm not going to focus on everything in the case because I think most of it's self-explanatory. If you have any idea, even remotely, what you're doing when you're moving components, stuff can only plug into the motherboard in one spot, typically, right? It's labeled pretty well. What really gets confusing is when people start messing with the front panel. USB ports, audio ports, switches, lights, LEDs, those kinds of things that are on that front panel. That can be kind of nerve-wracking because a lot of these companies have a proprietary plug that just pops right in there, and the motherboard's looking for specific things that are plugged in, and it just lets it go. Certain ones like this, when you case swap to something outside of that manufacturer, the motherboard kind of wigs out saying, I don't know what you're plugging into me, there's an error. So what I want to focus on for this video is the front panel pinout for the Dell XPS 8900 motherboard. And I went round and round with this thing, and finally I just took the whole damn thing apart and just went wire by wire and just lined it up, and boom, it actually worked. So I'm going to walk you through and I'm going to show you guys this. So the reason why I started this was I had an XPS 8900 right here, and it wasn't getting very good ventilation. So we put I forget what video card we put in here. But basically there was only one fan right there. That's it on this, which blew my mind initially on an XPS, that there was only one exhaust fan going out, but there was nothing bringing in air, which is like, what? Anyways, it blew my mind. So it sat like that for a long time. And finally, I let my daughter use this computer, and she's like, Dad, it's blacking out. And I'm like, I already know exactly why. So I said, let's swap it out with a Corsair cooler. I forget what model we picked here, but I'll show you. And in doing that, I noticed the front pin connector. I'm like, I don't know what sequence this thing has to go in. And I made a mental note of, okay, here's where they're all plugged in. Let's make sure we match it all up perfectly. But like I said, the XPS on here has its own specific plug that has them all ready to go and lined up. But as you know, when you buy a third-party case, these are all individual wires. It says hard drive LED, power LED LED, power switch, reset switch. They're all individual little things, and you got to find which pin to plug them into because you don't have this big lumped plug that does it all. So I tried to just guess and start plugging them in. Like, well, they're just pins sticking out. It's got to work. It doesn't work that way. I got the error that says, Dell XPS error, check your power cord. Here's a QR code and go troubleshoot it, in which that's what you're probably experiencing on your screen, saying, check your power cable. So let me walk through a few things so I can show you how to get around this. If you don't have the original plug from the XPS, I don't know how to bypass that. There's probably other videos I can show you, but I can at least show you how to get the power switch working. So you can just click continue on that error message and then just have to bypass that every time. Because if you don't have this jumper, I don't know what to tell you. But let me walk you through what I did, because I did have the original case, and I'll show you what I did. All right, let's check it out. So here's the original switch that was on here, right? And it runs, let me turn my headlamp on. And it runs all the way down, and it has this connector that, of course, was down in the case, right? This plugs in the motherboard. But next with this connector was actually a jumper that connects to this. So if you look at this jumper, I've already cut it because I'm going to tell you why you need to cut it. So it looked like this, right? This is how it plugs into the motherboard. Now, in between those pins, there was one more row that were not being used. So you have this little black jumper, an empty set of pins, and then you have the 6, which are the power switch, the power LED, the hard drive LED, those kinds of things. Those are lumped into those 6. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is to get rid of that message that comes on the screen, then when Dell says, you don't have the right power cable plugged in, you need this jumper. This jumper is going to allow you to bypass that message. So all you need to do is cut where those open pins are. You'll see what I mean. There's a blank set of pins in between those. Just cut right down those. And then you're gonna use this, and you'll see on there's a blank spot right there, and you'll look on the actual pin inside the motherboard, or on the motherboard that you can, and here's the case, by the way. Got a Corsair case. It's got a bunch of fans in here. I added the top 2 fans so we can get exhaust coming out. So you're gonna take a look right down into the pins so you can see that jumper, oops, sorry, is gonna go right there. I'll take a picture for you so you can see it easier. Let me take my headlamp up and shine it in here for you. So you see that empty block of 4 down there? There's a lot of things in the way. It's on the back side. That's where you're gonna plug that jumper in. The rest of the things here are going to just go in this sequence. And I'm gonna show you exactly the way I did it. I'm gonna unplug those first 2 so you can see what I mean. Let me put the headlamp down in there. There we go. So here's what you're gonna do. I'm gonna unplug these few, and I'm gonna show you exactly, bear with me here. I'm gonna unplug the hard drive, power LED, and then, okay, so check it out. Take a look. So the reset switch I put on the back 2, the words facing inside of the motherboard, right? And then you see the one on the other side, which is this one here, right? That's the power switch. That's going long ways. And the words are facing toward the screw here. So what you're gonna do, you see that one there? It's plugged in there, the switch is behind it, then you have 2 open pins here. So basically you're taking the first block of 6, okay? The next one we're gonna put in here is the positive and negative. So you'll see these 2 here. These other 2 here, one's a positive, one's a negative. They're labeled. And then let me put those on and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so it should look like that. There's the block of 4. Do you see the little pins in between right here? This little empty row, you're gonna have 2 pins there. So that jumper is gonna go there. That you're gonna have an empty row. Your power switch is gonna go up and down that way. Let me move these out of the way. There's the power LED, the positive and the negative. And then right behind that is the power reset switch. That's what this case had on it. I don't even know if that works, to be honest with you, but the power switch works, and that's what made me happy. So, and all because, and that error message was bypassed because that little jumper right here. Don't forget that. You can probably get away without it, but it makes your life a lot easier not to deal with that error message. And then once you have all that hooked up, you grab your power, and you should get a quick turn on. And it should turn off. If it stays on, it doesn't recognize a power switch. So if it turns on, turns off, you know you did it right. And then power switch, there it goes, right? Should come up. And you should get a successful boot. Now, typically when you don't have that jumper, you're gonna get a message right now that says, check your power cord. It'll be a white screen. But there we go, now on. So now I wanna walk through really quickly how I kind of lined up the pins to know where they went in that little sequence. So check it out. I went over here and I basically said, check it out. I said, what do all these wires actually lead to? So if you flip it over and take a look, one of these is the switch, right? On the XPS 8900. It's this one right here. You can hear it. Hear that? That's the switch. So you flip it over and you go, well, what color are those? And if you look at it closely, you'll notice You know what? Hang on a minute. Let me get my headlamp on. It makes our life a lot easier. Hang on, setting you down. Okay, check it out. So when you look at the power switch, take a look at that. Gosh, this iPhone doesn't focus very well. It's brown and blue. See that? The power switch is brown and blue. The LED to the power switch, take a look. I'm gonna open this up so you can see it. The LED to the power switch, take a look, is white and red. And you see the black and yellow going to the front? That was this. That's your hard drive power. That's your hard drive LED. So what I did was I said, okay, so black and blue is a power. What does it look like on here? Black and blue is right on the end. And remember, it was right up against that jumper. So that told me that on that panel, the brown and blue was right there in the middle next to those empty pins. And it was going up and down. See what I'm saying? How it was like going long way. And then I was like, okay, well then now I know, okay, well the hard drive or the power light LED was white and red. And I can see those are on the other side, right up against them. And then on the back was black and yellow for the hard drive LED, which this case doesn't have a hard drive LED, it just had a power switch. So I put the power switch in place of the black and yellow for this one. And boom, it seemed to work. So that's the way I did it. So long story short, follow the wires and look at the buttons on here and see what they go to. Take a look at the pins, take a look at the connector and say, where do those wires match up in reference to the pinout on the board? That's it. That's all I did. You could take this thing and use this and just mount this switch somewhere. That would be like your last resort, to be honest. I wouldn't want to mess with that. And then while you're in here, grab the wireless card that goes on the board. That thing will be mounted and taped up here so you can see the tape marks. Just take that down, remount it in the new case. That way at least you have the onboard wireless while you're in there. All right, guys, that's it. That's what I did. Sorry for all the weird camera angles and trying to get you to see that, but the best thing to do is to really just follow the wires on this switch, and then you can match it up to the pin connector here, and then you'll know exactly where to plug it in on the board. That's the best way to do it. Just go wire for wire, and that'll help you. There's a lot of diagrams online, but the motherboards vary sometimes in difference. The 8700, the 8900, there's the 8910, the 20. They vary slightly. So I just recommend get the switch and follow the wires. It should help you out. So hope this helps. Sorry it was so long and the blurry and trying to get things to focus, but I hope I got my point across. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. See ya.